Hello everyone. So today is going to be the requested video that you guys would poll on the Discord. So today we're going to be doing a review of the Tanchjim bunny. So I got this set from Tanchjim themselves. It was sent to me. I've already done my review and my initial impression on TikTok, like every other review. The fact that this was sent out to me is not going to change the outcome of this review. I've already done the outcome on my TikTok, so you can take a look at that after this video. But yeah, this is going to be the full in-depth review on my YouTube. So, starting off with appearance, this set has a very nice, like, sort of see-through, like, see-through metal, like, faceplate sort of design. I actually do like the way the 2-pin looks on this. I think it looks pretty cool. Cable's nice. Cable's pretty good. I wouldn't say this is, like, my favorite looking set, but it's probably one of the better looking budget sets, because most budget sets try too hard, I'd say. This is just going for something simple, which is always nice. Another thing is I do like that this is CNC, just because it gives it more of like a premium feel. The plastic on this isn't actually too harsh. I have an issue with like raw plastic just sort of feeling a bit, sometimes feeling a bit, you know, annoying to use, sometimes a bit painful at times if it has a really bad, you know, really bad, what's it called, pressure points. But this is fine. It's quite a flat overall fit, so we'll go on to that in a bit, but that's it for appearance. Not much else to say other than it looks pretty cool. Also, keep in mind, this set is the 3.5mm version. So when I go to sound, I will be talking about that. I wasn't really interested in having the DSP version, so yeah, I chose 3.5. So in terms of accessories, this set comes with the cable, some really good ear tips, which I'm not actually using just because I like the way that the liquid silicone I have makes a sound. But yeah, the tips that it comes with are actually really good. The bore on them isn't like too, you know, it's not too tight. It's pretty loose, so you can get it on easily, but it's not gonna fall off. And the lip on the ear tips are they're quite versatile. They aren't the stickiest, but they just do somehow. They have like a slight stick to them. It comes with like 3 of the tips. I don't know if it comes in with any more. Sorry, I don't really remember much from the set, accessories wise, but it's just a normal widget set. Not much else to really say to it. The cable is good, but the issue with the cable, I'd say, is that it sometimes is a bit too loose. Like you sort of see, I just pull it out and it doesn't really tie properly. That's the main issue with it, I'd say. The cable just sort of doesn't really have enough sort of tightness to it. Also, yes, I tie my cables like this. I don't care if it's gonna damage the cable. But yeah, I don't do that fancy cable method that Super Reviews does. It's too much effort. But yeah, there's not much else to say really about the accessories. Let's just go straight into the sound, honestly, I'd say. Just because sound is sort of what you're buying the set for. I really like the way the set sounds, like, a lot. So this is just a normal single DD, like every other IEM that's at this price range. But it does something really different, which I quite like. So it has not much sub-bass emphasis. I wouldn't say the sub-bass on this is too tactile, because it's more mid-bass focused, especially on the analog version. On the DSP version, I think it has a bit more sub-bass, but I think the 3.5 is better for this reason, that it actually chooses more mid-bass, because it has a bit more bloominess. It has a slight bit more punch, actually a lot more punch, just due to this fact. And the tactility is still there, but it's more bloomy and punchy, I'd say. The overall rise of this bass is up to like 65 dB, according to 711, so this is not with any, you know, yeah. So, moving on from the bass, mid-range. This is quite an interesting subject, because I think this set isn't like warm in terms of like the conventional warmth. It's more full, and most of the warmth comes from the bloom that comes from the upper bass. So it creates this sort of bleeding effect where it sort of adds a bit of warmth to the set that wouldn't be already there with the mid-range if it was just a plain like a quick decay from the bass, which does mean that the bass is going to be a bit more bleed, like a bit more slower paced due to that bloom and due to that mid-bass bleed, which, I mean, the mid-range bleed, which I quite like, actually. I think this set does really well for both type of vocal ranges, which I'll get over to in a minute when I talk about the ear gain. But yeah, actually, let's go to the ear gain now in the upper mids. So the upper mids aren't really all that, like, they don't start super early. They start at around 1k. The rise is quite quick, though. The ear gain is quite risen. It's a lot higher than the base. It's like maybe 2 dBs, not 2 dB, maybe like, yeah, it is like 2 dB higher than the base. So this sort of gives it a more vocal, more vocal focused like listen. You're hearing more like vocals than you are like bass impact. The vocals themselves, I'd say that it shares an equal like strength with male and female vocals, just because that the treble quality is really good. Like for a set this price, the treble quality is really good, which I'll get over to in a minute, which helps with female vocals, do that 8K peak and do that shimmer. With male vocals, it is quite a warm set due to that bloom and due to that warmer mid-range in the lower mids, because of how full it is, because of the bloom, which means that it's quite versatile for both type of vocals, which I quite like, because I think a lot of sets now they sort of stick to one type, which I'm not really that big of a fan of, honestly. I like when sets sort of deviate and they sort of work with both type of vocal ranges. So that air gain, I wouldn't say that it scales badly. I think it actually scales quite good due to a dip in the treble at 11 to 15k. It doesn't really get that sibilant, and the presence region isn't that metallic. I'd say it's quite soft. It actually dips off at 2.5k, which gives it a really nice sort of delicate, intimate listen. Transients aren't that like aggressive, I'd say, which is a bit of a shame, because I do think this set has a very secret like genre use, which I'm going to talk about when I get to genres. But yeah, I'd say it could use a bit more presence, because it is a bit rolled off. I would change the tuning in the treble to do that though, because if you push the presence a bit too high, it will get too metallic, because the overall air gain is quite pushed up. It is smooth, but it is pushed up. So yeah. Moving on to the 8K peak. The 8K peak is really nice. It's actually quite similar to the 8K peak on the Makino Audio T100B, where it has a lot of shimmer and it has a lot of like sparkle to it. But different from the Makino Audio, this set actually has a lot more air, because obviously because it's using a DD, it's more capable. And that's using a BA. So yeah, this set definitely is more focused on air though. It's sort of the opposite. So the 8K peak is still good, but once you get to about 16k, there's this giant peak there where it sort of extends the air without actually reaching into any sort of extension, which I actually quite like, because I think it gives it this really similar to the SR9 and sets with like a very large air extension. This sort of gives it like a very a really nice like wispy sound to the vocals, especially female vocals. Another thing, this also does help with the dead zone between 10 to 15k. I think they did do that because the driver capabilities probably aren't there at this price for it to actually be able to have any extension. So yeah, the dead zone at 10 to 15k isn't that audible though, and I'd honestly say that it's quite like unnoticeable, honestly. So yeah, that dead zone isn't very audible because of the 8k peak being quite high and smooth. It's pretty smoothed out, but it's still quite extended quite high, and the giant spike in the air sort of helping with a sort of extension. It doesn't really affect that dip, doesn't really affect the sound that much, honestly. I would just ignore it. Changes I would make to this tuning, honestly, would probably be that it's not really like a tuning thing. I just would rather have a bit more air extension, because while this set does have really nice wispy vocals, it doesn't have much air extension. Like, it doesn't have like crazy detailing, and again, I would want to have more air extension, which is sort of like, it can't really do that though, because the set is compromised because of its price being so cheap. It's like £16, I think, so fair enough. So now we're going to be moving on to like the fit. This set is really comfortable. This is like one of the strong points, I'd say. This set has like a really unique design to where like I think anybody could wear it. So if you look at it, it has like this really nice shape to it. Really unique. It's sort of got this like curved sort of shell. It fits really well. I'll put a picture on the screen. I think I've already done it at this point, not in the editing, but yeah, it's the nozzle isn't too big. I'd say it's pretty small, honestly. I'll put the nozzle size on the screen, but it's probably under 6mm. It's really good for smaller ears. In terms of pressure points, I don't really ever feel anything, honestly. Just as I've said before, even though it's plastic, there isn't many pressure points because the shell is quite smoothed out on the bottom side to where the nozzle is. So you're not going to really notice anything. But this is generally one of the more comfortable sets I've used, especially due to the nature of the curve on the cable where the connector is. This is done really nicely. It's not too wide. I like it when they're tighter, which this is. I hate the True Fair blue cable. That shit sucks. Fuck the blue. Fuck the red. The cable on those suck because it's like a really long cable and it's just terrible. But yeah. Now, genre-wise, I would say this set is better for stuff like jazz, maybe some acoustic, some metal, some rock, which is this set's actually really good for, and of course vocals. So yeah, anything with like a vocal emphasis or like a lot of like natural timbre, it's gonna sound really good on. Just because like I think that's what the set excels on. It's really natural. Most IEMs with like this sort of like mid-bass focus, warmer mid-range with like a really good air extension, more vocal forward, do sound quite natural and do sound better for these like more natural acoustic and vocal genres. So yeah, now on for rating. I don't know if my ratings have changed. I don't actually check my ratings for these IEMs on TikTok that I've done, but I would say this IEM is like a 8.3 just because of how like good it is for the price. I recommend this thing like hotcakes at this point. It's really good. My reviews on YouTube are generally more harsh, just because on TikTok I sort of do it based off the price that they're at, but on YouTube I do it just like overall. So yeah, I'd say it's like an 8.3. That's really good. I've been enjoying it quite a lot, and again, thank you to Tanchjim for sending this to me. I'll have more stuff from you, for you guys from them soon. I have an IM being sent out from them, but yeah, really nice set. But yeah, that's it for today, guys. I'm going to be doing a review on the Zhonling Niao. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but something Z3 soon. I already posted the initial impressions on my TikTok. That will probably be the review after the next review, which is probably going to be the Turbulent X from K-Bear, which I really like, and I'm going to glaze the heck out of that in the next review. But yeah, that's it for this review. See you guys.